Welcome back to the third episode of Into the Deep with Our Oceans. I'm your host, Juma van Ekelen, together with my co-buddies and hosts, Ramon Zilhorst, Timon Kruidenier.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, guys, and welcome the internet. All right, we'll have different things to discuss today. I guess the biggest things we're gonna talk about, have a chat about, are the post-album release, and basically our next plans, some insights into our future plans. Who would like to kick off with that?
Into the future.
Into the future. Robin, wow. Would you like to start with that? Or at least like
we'll start with the release,
Yeah.
I guess.
True.
All right.
Cool. Yes, wow.
Well, we definitely got better at avoiding any awkwardness.
Yeah, right?
I was about to say.
The natural flow has become...
Yeah.
More
Well,
fluent.
you know, we've had a little bit of delay for this third episode because I had my tonsils got out of me. And I think the delay maybe caused us to forget how well it was going.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, the album is out. Reviews are coming in. Well, a lot of responses from fans are coming in.
Yes.
I always hate when I use the word fans. Listener.
Yeah.
I find it disrespectful.
Listener, like
but-
just people.
yeah. And
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Why do you
What else
hate the
do-
word fan?
Well, it's where it comes from, like fanatic. It sounds like groupies or something. It sounds like so dedicated. It sounds.
But they are dedicated. They supported us, bought our music.
Okay, then it sounds degrading a little bit. At least to me, like it's not meant that way, of course, but it kind of sounds as if there's a hierarchy going, and it's the band and then the worshippers or something, and I just hate that idea.
Well, I kind of agree with
You
that.
feel uncomfortable on your pedestal and...
Yes.
On your throne. No. Well, I kind of feel the same. Like I'm happy to call myself a fan of a particular band or like person, or no problem. But calling other people a fan of you or of your
Yeah,
music or your music, it feels a little bit pretentious or something. Like all the fans. Well, I'm happy to call myself a fan for certain bands or music.
Yeah.
Like I'm your fan, but I can say that as a fan.
Exactly.
it's one of those things, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
can
just the
imagine.
naming. Like, I mean, of course, we know people are enjoying our music as we are other music. So that's
Well, the fact that they bought the CD doesn't necessarily mean that they like the music, and maybe they're not as fanatic as we think. And maybe they
Well,
hate it, and
that's
the
also a
word
good
fan
point.
is actually the wrong word.
That's a good point, also, because like fanatic
Maybe we
to
should
me,
call
it
them
implies,
haters.
You know, it implies like people who are, or let's look at it this way: it's like how many bands can one person be a fan of? In my mind, there's only one, because there's that one band that you worship, like Metallica has fans. You know, I don't think we have fans, or well, that's debatable, I guess, but.
yeah.
Still, I don't know. Maybe enough is said about the topic. But
That's my point. I
It's
guess.
kind of cool. Do you think in your opinion, can you only be a fan of one band?
No,
Or
no, I don't think so. It's not a exclusive thing. You can be a fan of Michael Jackson and Meshuggah, right?
right?
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Valid.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine.
it's
I am.
more of
so yeah, sure.
yeah.
Nice.
actually, if you just copy paste that rhythm, but only with the he sound,
And with every snare is like
we're gonna have to make that now.
okay, yeah. Or some of you will. Please don't. Okay, but going back to our fans, to our release. I think we started off that.
Yeah.
like you said, the reviews are coming in, especially fans' responses are coming in, which we always like to read. We love to read them. And they're basically all positive, which we very much enjoy hearing from you guys. We know it's, and that's also something we hear and acknowledge. It's not a light album. It's not an album you put on
Yeah.
necessarily while doing dishes or something. It's really an album you have to put on and listen thoroughly to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's at least the response we get, and
Yeah.
that's how I would gauge it. Yeah, it's not a background music. Let's do the dishes, or let's do my homework music. Right? It's listen to it and try to feel the music, or
Yeah, get indulged,
be
you know.
connected to it, or yeah.
Yeah, take the time, especially, I think, is an important one, and that's something that, besides just the people giving their responses, I especially like it. Personally, I don't care so much, I think, about whether someone likes it or not, but whether or not, and the same for reviewers, if they put in the time to listen thoroughly, to give it the attention that, you know, that is just a courtesy type thing that I really appreciate. And then if people also take the time to, let us know what they thought in a lot of detail, that's of course always really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree.
I always preferred albums that were like they had more layers, so you had more to listen to. So like instead of just a superficial. Of course, I don't have any examples,
Take your time.
but like what's that Opeth album?
What Opeth album?
What does it look like?
Yes.
the red album cover with the morning.
Well, it's an old one
Oh,
Yeah.
with the flower thing, or
No.
well, I'm not too familiar with the older
it-
stuff.
yeah.
Still Life.
Oh, damn.
That's that's a difficult album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least I thought so, and I loved it, but it screwed me up big time.
Wow.
Like I couldn't listen to it without starting to feel sad and like, oh man, this shit sucks. But it was so well written, and the riffs were awesome and dark and nasty, and yeah, I loved it. Instead of like a superficial, let's do the dishes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, what I always have, and I'm curious to hear your opinions on that, is like the quicker music grabs me, the quicker it also loses its interest to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah, it's
It
not,
does.
maybe not always the case.
Yeah, but a lot of times it is, depending on why it grabbed me and what I'd like to do with it. Like, I must admit, sometimes more easy listening music grabs me simply because it's produced so well,
Yeah,
or I
same.
just like the harmony, and I'll just save it in a list where I know, like one of the playlists, I know I can put this on anywhere, and I'll have like nice sounding music, whatever. But I think, yeah, in generally, you're right. It has been a long time ago since I've got like over, I don't know, how do you, I got surprised by a album like that caught my attention immediately and then still did a year later.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does happen
Yeah.
from time to time, but those are like those oddball, like magical albums that only come by, like at least for me personally, every couple of
Albums
years.
that
the
grab
real-
you easily
Yeah,
and
and stay.
Yeah.
True. Well, the opposite is also true for me. Like albums that take me a little bit to get into, if they do, because not all of them do end up. But if they do, I end up really liking them. For instance, the Asymmetry of Carnival. I really forced myself into listening through the whole album several times during a holiday because I was so put off actually by the sound at first. I was so used to the perfect sound awake, you know, also songs.
Yeah.
But once I got through it, wow, there are gems on it that for me outshine even the Awake as in terms of, composition, but also the rawness actually contributes. And I'm glad now that I did it like this for their music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
But-
different album, right? I still don't grasp it as well as the other
No?
albums, I think. No.
Have you
No.
forced yourself to
Yeah,
listen
yeah,
to
yeah,
it?
yeah, a couple of times, but it just doesn't vibe as easily or
That's totally true.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
rougher album.
But
And
I think they're in the studio. Are they writing? I heard someone.
Yes, I think
so.
I
Yeah.
told you the news because I
Ah,
read a
yeah, maybe
post
it was-
months ago that they were doing studio stuff, but
Nice.
that's silence so far.
Hmm.
But at the same time, that's funny. I always also notice that I'm finding less and less. I'm less and less easy taking the time to force to listen to pieces I might find gems in as well. Like Carnival, I knew I was like I have to do this, but with several other bands that are like, oh, okay, cool, might be cool, I just forget. And like, how many times do you still? Shit, there has to be something in this because
Yeah, I think
XYZ.
for me, I talked about this recently, but I don't know if it was on the podcast. But yeah, I think so. Just the mere fact that most of the work I do is not compatible with listening to music because I'm mixing or working on our own music. So over the years, I just became less and less of a listener anyways. So then you don't... So then when I take the time or have the time to put on something, it usually means that there's other work to do, like behind the sitting behind the computer, doing whatever.
Yeah.
And during those times, I'm usually not in the mood anymore to do what you say, like to search for music and to put in a lot of attention. So I search for something I already know, or just put it on Discover Weekly. And so yeah, the short answer is no. Like I also don't do that a lot anymore.
Yeah. It's weird that you, on the one hand, it should be easier to discover new music, but in the same time, I don't listen to more new music at all, or I don't discover new stuff as much as I used to, or right?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, interesting question for any one of you listening or watching this. Where do you get your new music? What outlets do you check? I'm hearing from a lot of people it is the likes of iTunes and Discover Weekly or new releases on Spotify. Those are features I also use. But there are tons and tons more like outlets, pages, whatever, communities where you can discover new music.
And good old just friends telling you about their new music, right? Like I think that is probably also still, I imagine at least maybe in our genre that is still a little bit more of a thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like the word of mouth thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but also if you could have like really cool music, right? You share it with at least some friends, like depending on at least one or two friends who would like this. So you like send down some music. Even we do it, although like you stated, we're not the kind of type, of persons that listen to music all the time and searching something. But even we do have a list where we put like really interesting stuff together to have a watch or listen. That's a way of finding new music, but yeah, it feels different than it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, but it's also
Back when you were young and you went to the CD store and you took like 5 CDs and I want to listen to these, and you picked one because you had money for one CD, and that CD became the CD that you listened for the next 3-4 months and you loved it, and right?
yeah.
And now it's skip, like next.
And I think also the unfortunate thing with that is that we are very aware that that is the case, that just the means, the format in that we listen to music is simply much more of
Commodity.
it's just less, it has less value.
Yeah.
But
But
still,
that's debatable.
yeah, okay, true. But still, even though you are aware that like that's the case, you still don't do anything about it really. We all still use Spotify because it's really easy, and there is obvious upsides to it as well. But yeah, I agree. Like, but that goes for everything. Also, I don't know how much of gamers you were back in the day, but I remember if you went to the store and you bought like from all your savings like some Nintendo game for like 150 guilders, it was back then.
Oh wow!
I mean, then you're gonna fucking play the thing.
Oh yes.
You know, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
And now it's so easy to just download something and give it a try for 5 minutes and
That's totally true.
Yeah, I guess that's the same thing, right? It's become way easier to get it for free.
Yeah.
Try it out for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
refund.
it feels like it's less valuable or less.
Yeah. Well, in that sense, it sure is, right? Like, there is just more to offer. But also, going more towards like a fast, quick consumer thing.
Yeah.
Test it out quick, refund quick, whatever. See what you like, what sticks.
Even that, right? It reminds me of if you guys follow the news. I think you follow the gaming news a little bit. Like of what's this? Really
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yeah. Did you read about it today? That Sony is like refunding, like
They pulled the game off the store.
Yeah.
Even.
Well, yeah. Just quick story is that it's a very hyped up game, and
8 years in the making.
yeah, and so lots of, I guess, pre-orders and all that stuff and orders, and but it's so full of bugs and whatever, and I guess that happens a lot these days. So a lot of customers are complaining and asking for refunds, you know, and
Yeah. That's weird. Guys, how would you like it if we would deliver an album that is like for 60% finished? Half of the time, some of the songs will fail, or will skip back, or start bugging out, lose all the low end, and we'll promise to fix it within the next few patches in them. Like, they promised like one update in January and one in February that should like fix most bugs. I really get like a bad taste in my mouth of that, even though I trust that developer.
Are you officially dissing Sony right now?
No,
or,
CDPR. What is it? the makers. Now, with the fact that like you promise you deliver something, a service for full price, and then you promise to get it up to base level quality months after you delivered it. It's
but what I wonder with, or what I wonder about with those things is like there's obviously like a beta testing phase, and that cannot get out all of the bugs. But how internally in the company, how aware of are they of the fact that it's so full of bugs? You know, at a certain point, there's probably it's a deadline and they have to meet it, and there's lots and lots of money involved. So maybe they are aware that like, oh, it's kind of still crap and we have to release it now. But maybe sometimes maybe not.
They have to be aware, right?
Well, no, because like there's a very big difference between thousands and thousands of people testing your game for you when it comes out and having a dedicated beta test team.
Yeah, okay, but do you think they're not aware of the many? If there are that many bugs that people want refunds, that should be at least the level of amount of bugs that they should be aware of that, right? So it should be. I would think it's a deliberate decision. All right, well, it's got bugs, but let's release it now and
that's
harvest some cash, and we'll just you know.
I think it's somewhere in the middle, probably.
It seemed, I guess but it's a combination of because some bugs are so big, they'd have to know about it. They should have known about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
they should be aware of it. Should have been aware of it for months.
Gotten head.
Will have. But on the other hand, if you see like those big companies, I don't know if you got a little bit side into the marketing aspect. They bought up like really, really big wall spaces at Madison Square Garden in New York and Japan, and had like posters, like, you know, the poster things of story building high, like, you know, everywhere in the world at exact that date. So the fact that they already postponed it 2 times, they probably already lost some millions in just marketing material that was being printed and stuff, and just, you know, had to be thrown away. So I can imagine you have to stop doing that at some point.
But it is a risk they are willing to take, apparently, even though it has happened quite a lot before now in the past couple of years with really devastative effects. Devastative, is that a word? Devastating. Effects for developers, you know.
It's
like
true.
What was that like monster flying thing game? It was pretty recent, the Anthem or something.
Anthem.
Yeah. Like everyone fucking hated that thing.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. But,
and then once you've read the stories behind the scene, that like there was also a game that was like for 7 years in production or something, but after the game was released and all the drama got unfolded, it became clear that like for 6 years or something, there were just endless like rough ideas being made and then thrown away by management. Totally new game created. No, totally going back. So they made the game in 1.5 year while they set out and they got money for a 7-year like developer period. So that's, and then all those promises and that's for me the hard part. Like I don't believe in them anymore. Even they might do their best now to improve it. I don't care. You lost my trust. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of our listeners care about video game talk. By the way,
Yeah, how did we end here? Wait, because I think we're the three of us. We cannot consider ourselves active gamers at all, right?
nah,
No,
Nah, man.
I
The
game a
the
couple of
last,
times
yeah.
a year,
same.
Yeah, the same thing.
right?
One of the games that I love is God of War, and so I played
Yep.
it every 4 months, maybe.
I didn't even
then,
know that.
And then after an hour, it's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'm
let's,
done being
let's
a-
do something else. And,
Yeah.
It's weird though because when you were younger, you could play all day,
Oh, yeah.
right? And it's fun, and you're totally
Yeah.
into that world. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, but
I have exactly that, and I've tried, or I've
kind
had
of- yeah.
multiple times where I was in a phase in my life where you have, for example, a really busy week or something, and you feel like, oh, today I want to have like a relaxing day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that idea pops up, and I feel the nostalgia of like how it used to feel. Like
Right.
play a game and get lost in it for days sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try to recreate that. It's just no, I can also not. Like even an
Yeah,
hour,
right.
what you say is super long for me.
Yeah.
Like if I put on a game, it's usually 10 minutes max, and then I'm done here.
yeah.
I sometimes,
Yeah,
I sometimes won't get any further than just staring at my Steam library.
Yeah.
Just like, nah.
Yeah, but is that another?
Yeah.
Do you right?
Yeah, it's-
Because there's so much to choose from.
As well.
I have the same thing with Spotify sometimes that you want to listen to music, you're not exactly sure what, and you end up or with Netflix. I want to watch a movie. Not sure what. Let's check my list. Yeah. Okay. Nah, not that one. So okay, let's check the movie list, and then you start scrolling. Oh yeah. Okay. Add it to my list, but not for now. Add it to my- not for now. Yeah. Right. And at the end of the night, you haven't watched the movie.
And what's also interesting about this, I don't know if I recommended this already, but if I did, it was years ago. But it's this TED Talk, and it's very much about how basically the more choice you give a customer, the more unhappy inevitably they're gonna be with whatever they choose, and they kind of explain the psychology behind it. Forget who told it or whatever, but it is interesting.
Yeah,
Just and
have you seen the TED Talk or?
yeah.
Okay. Because I remember I told you that story. Because but
Could be,
it's probably a
I
different
watched
thing.
it because you recommended it. Could also be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But if that rings a bell, then it's the same thing. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
but I remember it. The thing or the psychology behind it is because there's so much. What do you call it? Aanbod?
Offering, yeah.
An offer or something.
Yeah.
That whatever you choose, you have the feeling that you've missed out on something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same.
And yeah.
Yeah, you will always have the feeling that I could have made a better choice.
Yeah.
Even if the choice is really enjoyable to you, whatever it is. With breakfast cereals, I think they have give that example, like and especially just also thinking about the fact that it's an American who's doing the TED Talk, I think, and then picturing an American supermarket, like compared to, if people don't know, like our supermarkets are considerably smaller here. Even the bigger ones are. You know, we have like 5 cereals on a row, where they have like 50 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. We only have 10 different flavors of crisps or chips, whatever. But I mean,
But we're going there though.
yes,
I mean, it's
more and
growing.
matter of
more
time.
and more bullshit is getting added, like fucking chips with barbecue baby barf cow dung taste. Like, what the hell? Like, give me fucking normal or paprika, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's, and I hear like more people actually looking back to that period, like the simpler times as far as that is concerned, right?
Maybe we're just getting old.
Maybe we're just
Probably.
getting
Back when I was young, it used to be so much simpler.
Well, I mean, that's always an easy thing to say, right? As well as with going digitally, you know, sitting on your phone all day, whatever. We're all three of us or try to stay away from our devices as much as possible because we just found out through 10 years that it doesn't make you happy, right?
Yeah.
In the long run of the day. And I think that's basically what older people, they just know a little bit better by now, like, you know, what
Yeah.
kind of works and what doesn't make you
Yeah.
happy or what does.
Although
Yeah.
we are, of course, of the age and the generation that we do all, and of course also the personality that we do embrace technology.
Yeah.
I think especially you and I are kind of tech geeks in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not without its negative sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That also includes music and the way we consume stuff. That's basically what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to
Yeah.
backtrack to where we're talking about still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we started out with the release and everything. But You
Yeah.
know what I also
Right.
found, like, through... Well, actually, it was Carline, your girlfriend, who asked me, I think, was the first one who asked me in WhatsApp, like, or I don't know exactly the wording, but something like, oh, the album is out, like, how do you feel about it? And I was like, I feel quite a little, or I don't feel very much about it. I don't care so
Oh.
much about it, is the point. And
The fact that it's released.
yeah, and I also got that question in some interviews recently, and so then think about it a little bit more, and I just I keep feeling that way, and I also kept waiting for that to change, maybe for it to settle, maybe in the listeners' ears for a little bit and see how that feels, but
So you don't feel.
I don't really give. No, I don't care much. I at least to me, like that period of when we finished the album, months and months ago, like that was meaningful, and,
Right.
and but even that's still the goal. The journey there, as spiritual and cheesy as it sounds, that is special. But
Yeah,
just
yeah.
releasing it, it's just. Other than just the feeling of what we just discussed, that we have, we are fortunate to have listeners who are very dedicated, and some are just really, yeah. No, just some really lovely people who really appreciate what we do, and that is, of course, really nice to be able to give something like that. That is cool. But then,
Do you miss? Is it disappointing? Do you miss like a climactic release?
No, it's
feeling
fine.
of release.
No, it's fine as it is. But it is just interesting to acknowledge that, at least in my mind, that just
go.
Okay. Okay.
just the fact that like making music is that's also why we got into it, right?
Yeah, right.
So it kind of makes sense that is the part that we're here for the most.
Yeah. Totally true. And I think you stated it very well, because, I mean, we did have our moments together, the three of us, where we really said to each other, hey, we're happy we finished all the recordings, for instance, right? Or, hey, we finally did the final mix and the masters is coming back. Nice. We really, like, small chapter, small happy moment, like in our head, right? It's a big chapter that has closed, on to the next.
Yeah.
But that together with mostly the writing part and how we're feeling then, right? Actually shaping this, I think evokes way more emotion than the fact that not even with a push of a button, because everything is preset and right? It's just, it's Friday and then the album is out. Like, it's
Yeah.
not, we're, especially in these times, we don't have a big event, there's not some store going,
Yeah, exactly.
opening for us. Or
There's not a release tour or.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good point as well. That's also part of it. And indeed, this, even though it is, I guess, just physically available in stores, if they still exist.
Fives,
But yeah, the idea is just like, it's just, now it's on the internet, and before it wasn't. And
Yeah.
Yeah, for us at least,
For
feels
us,
like
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I feel the same way, actually. But it's, maybe it is a little disappointing that you don't have like a party or like a, all right,
yeah.
It's,
we did it!
yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, it's out. Yeah.
But that's an interesting thing
Oh,
anyway
yeah.
that I discovered very early on in my own life and personality is that I have the tendency never to really congratulate myself on anything. And I remember very clearly when I was younger and when I was, for example, going to study music. And that was the first study. I did some others before that I failed and tried. Different directions, blah, blah, blah. But music was the first one that was a serious study. And I remember thinking very clearly, that, well, this is like the first thing I'm going to do in my life that I will be very proud of if I attain it, if I get it. And then I graduated and we were already like touring the world with Cynic. And I was not even at the, what do you call that? The graduation party where you get your official thing at the end of the studies. I didn't even attend because I was in the US or something with you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and from there on and before that as well, it's just every time something like a milestone happens or something, it's just, But yeah, I guess that just ties into the whole thing of like the journey is more important. Again, it sounds so cheesy, but it.
But
is
is it that,
definitely-
or is it that you cannot be proud of something you've done, or you? Because that
Well,
can be something
Yeah.
that's difficult to be,
Yeah,
right? To
that's
appreciate
also
your
true.
own work, or
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be proud of. Okay, wow, I did this.
well, I feel like
it's
more.
not that easy, I think.
Well, I wonder how you guys experience this, but it doesn't matter what we're talking about, like some skill or something, attaining some skill.
Yeah.
Like if you work like really hard to get there and it takes you a considerable amount of time, then by the time you get there, you've thought about that thing so much, you gave it so much time, and it's been such a long journey that just the mere fact of getting there is just meaningless. At least that is what happens in my head. And the only thing I can do is try to consciously kind of invoke a feeling of gratitude towards whatever it is, but it's not natural for me.
Yeah,
How's that for you?
yeah, yeah,
Can you be proud of
Yeah.
something you've achieved?
yeah. Sometimes, but it's not the moment that we release the album that I feel pride.
No.
I think it's during the recording process, or you know, like it's small steps. It's not like, it's
That
not like
I-
when you
I
run
have
a
as
marathon that you're the first one to break the whatever, and you know, yeah, I made it.
Yeah.
You don't have that release or that moment of,
Yeah.
But that I recognize, like those.
yeah.
And I
There's
think
not
that's
a, not
also
a
what I-
big finale or something.
No,
It's
but
like a-
that's maybe also I didn't even think about it that way. But it's like during the process, the journey there, it's to make it just a little bit more tangible. What we're talking about, you do have many of those reflective
The
moments.
little
Yeah.
doses of
Little and
Yeah.
those are very worthwhile. Also, especially in the group dynamic that we had this
Yeah.
time, you know, we worked
Yeah.
so much together in the studio that, and then those moments where, especially after hard work, you know, when some take would take a little bit of a or whatever, and then we discussed something and we got to some joint kind of creative
Yeah.
solution. Those moments
that's
are,
rewarding.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is rewarding.
Yeah.
One of the most rewarding things I think as well. It also actually inspires me when we finish something or just put a puzzle piece in its place, sound-wise, arrangement-wise, whatever-wise. It feels good, and
Yeah.
it like keeps my mind going
Yeah.
as well. Like that's the energetic part. Yeah, more.
And the funny
Yeah.
thing also, now that we talk about this openly, is that we are not the type of people, but maybe that's also just a down-to-earth Dutch type of thing. We are not like very congratulatory towards each other either. We're not the type of like, oh, that was so awesome or something. You know, we just like those
Yeah.
moments.
True.
Apparently, we all have them and experience them, but we don't really acknowledge them in the moment very much, right?
No.
We cannot express them.
No.
Yeah, no, it's something that doesn't happen. But I think we all feel when you're
Yeah.
in the flow together, and it's
Yeah,
like the magic is happening, and everyone's on the same level, and you know you're really creating something more than just the notes. I think you know you're all aware of that. But I'm not sure if that's the case, but I feel like if you would say, "Hey guys, wow, this is magic," then it's gone.
Yeah,
right. Sure. I'm not sure if that's the case. Maybe it's just fun, and you keep the vibe. But that's at least it's like it feels like it's so fragile, or like it's so special. You don't want to ruin it, so you're vibing with it, and it's
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it also ties into our probably typical Dutch, very like ironic, sarcastic, like mean train of thought and behavior. Like we all know, like whatever we create. I mean, it is something, a little bit special. But right, it's in the end, music is just a endless rehashing of existing notes and stuff and melodies rehashed together. So if I'm talking to you, wow, this is magic! Like we all know of each other. Like, dude, come on! Like, right? Every combination has been.
Yeah, you're
shut
magic.
The fuck up. This is cool or this is nice, but magic? Like, come on! It's too high. It's shot too high, and that we all know that of each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and that actually helps.
And maybe another thing is also that I thought when we were talking about that there's not a big finish or like a big release or a thingy. I'm not sure if that's why we make music anyway. I think we make music because of those special moments that you're all creating in the same vibe. We're not working towards. Well, of course, we're working towards finishing the album, but it's not that. Yeah.
Let's do that next
you know
time.
Well, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not your main goal is not necessarily we have to make an album, but we have to make
Songs,
music, right?
Yeah.
We want to create together. So that's the finale, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's well
like
put, right? I mean, if it were up to us, we would write music, keep on writing music, and like nothing but music, because that makes us like the most happy. But at a certain time, we have to frame them and pack them together. Also, think about it, like
Which
what
is
is
also a nice
Yeah,
feeling.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is also cool to do. Like these are the nice things, but still, if you had to subtract anything from like any opschmuck, any extras.
Can you say that in English?
Opsmaak?
What is that word?
Like unnecessary
fat.
There is a
decoration
word for
or
that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of like it.
For all English people speaking, do you know opschmuck? No.
Yeah, unnecessary decoration. Like how can you say that?
Yeah, well,
Oh, man,
unnecessary
it's on the
fat.
tip of
Like
my
trim
tongue.
if you trim off all the fat,
Yeah.
what
Anyway.
you'll like, yeah. If we had to delete everything except for one thing in the band to do, then we would keep writing music, I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
So
or
that is-
playing live.
Yeah. That's
yeah, writing, playing music.
Yeah, I think playing live is the easiest place for me to recreate that magic feeling. Easier than in the studio.
Yeah. So just if you're talking pure about having the best of most positive energy going on while working with music, it would be playing live.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Be it a lifetime ago that we played live, but playing live, especially with you guys, depending on what we do, does feel good, like for sure. Like well, like very occasionally, mostly by accident, it feels really good. No, I think probably how do you say that? Well, it gives, for me personally, it gives more buzz or like whatever than working in a studio. But it's also the chemistry of people standing and performing. Right, that's different than it's a different bubble than in a
It
studio.
is. Yeah.
I think I like both. How's that for you? Do you have any?
I'm a little bit different, I think, in that regard. That well, I'm not saying that you guys are, but like I'm definitely the furthest thing from a natural performer. It's really something I had to come to like, and in a sense, the whole Cynic thing was my first experience playing live. and that was like a really brilliant first experience because it was for a lot of people right away.
Yeah,
And,
if you discount the shows you did with Exvius, of course, because you did a couple of them with Steph and
only one.
the Switzerland gig.
No,
But
that
you
was
had
after.
that other project, right? The,
Oh, no, yeah,
was
you're
it
right.
the Metal Skeletor?
Skeletor, yeah.
Yeah, so you had
of
live
course.
experience
I,
with
Cool,
that,
Brian.
right?
Yeah, I don't mean it literally, but I
Okay.
Serious.
had like maybe 15 to 20 shows or something tops under my belt at that point.
Okay.
But those were especially first 10 or something. I was shaking so badly that I could hardly play one note right.
Yeah.
And-
Really?
Yeah, yes. And then Cynic, and then almost one of the first gigs was like
Wacken.
So that took a lot of.
Was that one of the show? Yeah, that was the show I've been to, or was that?
Yeah.
That took a
The
lot of beers
2010.
to cope with.
Yeah, well, I have to give Paul a lot of credit for this. Like, he really took me under his wing in that sense, and especially the time because you joined us later. You know, I was already in LA for the recordings of Trace the Nair then,
Yeah.
and after that, once we finished mixing the record, I was just for weeks on end with Paul rehearsing in his little home studio, and he gave me so much time with just making me comfortable to, also to sing for the first time or sing growl.
Back then.
At the same time as playing all those technical parts, which was also a bitch to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was cool in the sense that was actually maybe coming back to the previous topic of being proud. Like, I was really kind of uncertain that I could pull it off because, as I said, I was so fucking nervous before when playing live that I was almost uncertain I could do this. But at the same time, I was just like, shut up to myself, you know, just do it.
This is a chance.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Do it.
And so that was kind of, and I'm not saying I was perfect
Yeah.
at those first shows, but it was good enough, you know, and good enough to say that was maybe a little bit of a moment to be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good.
Yeah.
Be proud in that way. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's other gigs that I'm more proud of, definitely. But
Yeah.
when you see the recordings of the Wacken show that we did with Cynic, it's like, man, that was show number 4.
I think
Really?
so, yeah, 3
yeah,
or 4.
it was,
whoa.
oh, man.
And you only had, I think, like 3 rehearsal sessions with us, right?
Yeah.
Because
Dude.
we flew to
Oh, man,
Holland
I
and-
remember waiting
Really?
waiting at home, and they were gonna pick me up. I think they... Oh, yeah. Sean and Paul were picking me up, and then we drove to your place, I think. Man, I was fucking nervous as
You really?
holy shit. Yeah. It's like, holy shit, it's gonna happen. Holy shit, fuck, I don't want to do this. Yeah, I want to do this. I know I want to do this. I gotta do this. You know you gotta do this. Like, oh, man, it was
Wow.
so scary. Yeah, yeah.
Cool though. I mean, that shows your drive to push through
Oh, yeah.
possible
but
fears,
it
right?
was,
And
no, yeah, but it's not an option to not do that. I mean, Cynic was the band that I
Yeah, for
that
you-
I was
so for you it
definitely a fan
wasn't.
of that. Yeah, yeah. But man, was I scared. Holy shit. Yeah. Yeah.
good to know. You weren't
Yeah.
that scared when you joined. When you started working with me.
Yeah, why is that?
What?
Well, you
What gives?
joined my band.
Ah, shit. Well, okay. To be fair,
That's a different.
To be-
different-
You
Yeah.
already admitted that you were like, you know, also
super frightened. No, well, to be honest and open, I was. You know, guys know I was super nervous when I auditioned for Exvius, right?
Yeah.
When you asked me
Yeah,
to
of course,
come along,
yeah.
and coming off the and then
yeah. How was that with Pestilence, though? Because you also, for people who don't know, you played with Pestilence for...
What?
no.
You recorded one album with them, right?
Yeah, true. I've played with for 2 years with them. It was just a natural thing, I think. Like after the recordings and after like basically 1.5 year, it felt like maybe this is not the musical direction and band direction I wanted to go to. And of course, Pestilence is not my band. It's it's
Yeah.
Mameli's band. Always has been and always will be. And that's totally fine. But I found myself fitting less and less.
Well, I know that, but like, before it happened, when you were asked, like, how was it for you in terms of like, am I able to pull this off?
Okay.
Like
How
those
did-
insecurities.
How did
or
you get
because
into that
you've-
band anyway?
I don't know.
I,
Tell us.
good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Yuma stories. Pretty easy. In hindsight, pretty easy. I've toured with Pestilence for 2 weeks with the New Dominion as opener.
Ah, right.
Through Europe. That was their first like reunion tour with Peter Wilder and Tony Choi. Great fun, really cool. But that's where he saw me play, several nights. So I was like, okay, he can pull this off. He asked me. Yeah, I felt nervous as well. Like, of course, with Jeroen Paul Tesseling setting up 2 stacks of 2 times 8 by 10 cabinets, of which he blew out 3 speakers, and then you got Mameli and Uterwijk, and the 2 managers were there as well, just setting up. And yes, of course, that's like kind of nervous and wrecking, right? And don't know all the shit, and I still cannot play this part, maybe, or I'm not sure. How is it gonna be? Like feeling the chemistry, yes, and especially I think that's kind of the same. If you don't know people personally, but you do know their like image, the status, then it feels always more like holy shit, I'm gonna play with.
Yeah.
And then after a while, they're humans as well as I am, so what gives or whatever.
Yeah. That was from an outsider's perspective, it seems though as when you joined them, you were already quite confident of your skills, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like I just did all the death metal stuff as well with Brutus, of course, and Wacken, and also like so I knew that's
Because it's so easy.
no, I wish it were no. But so yeah, I felt quite comfortable. Although there were some challenging parts like on it or there, which was nice. It was more not necessarily can I pull it off technically, but
Can Patrick pull it off? I didn't want to say it. But
you said it. Cool. And the answer is next podcast. No, right? Like, can I keep up or can I vibe well with people that are, vastly more experienced in that whole thing? Like, I think it kind of the same as with you guys or not? You were also like, I guess, skill-wise with growling together. Were you uncertain when you joined?
Yeah, I was very confident in my creative abilities, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because I've always been the musician who also writes his own music and stuff, and I've been doing that for a long time, and also knew because that stage of like writing all the parts for Trace the Air and working on the demos before that happened before, of course, and that was I was never nervous about that. So I was quite confident in my contributions and ideas, but skill-wise, I was especially. Not if I sit at home in the comfort of my own studio and I can try it 6 times or so. Then I was confident about that. But the stage thing was frightening.
Yeah.
And for you?
Yeah, I remember it was weird trying to feel your like how you would move on stage and.
Okay.
I remember that was really I've like. How do you say that? Like testing the waters a little bit, or not at ease enough to, of course, move the way you would move after playing the songs for whatever.
Yeah, 50 times. But when you just joined and you were sitting in that car and you just you felt what you described. Was it? Holy shit! I've got these people in front of me, or was it
that
playing that frightened you, or what was it?
No, just the fact that you were. The anticipation of, holy shit, this is gonna happen, right? I mean, I don't remember being stressed out for rehearsal or something.
Okay.
I guess I was, but I think I knew I could play it, and
so we're not specifically stressed like, holy, now we're gonna.
No, it's just for the general thing of. Holy shit, I'm gonna play with Cynic and they're gonna pick me up right now. What the fuck? How did I end up here? Yeah, exactly. And then you're in the car and it's just you know, two
Yeah.
cool people, and they're super mellow and nice, and they, you know, just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I remember that actually surprised me how smooth that whole transition of joining Cynic, how smooth that went from being, you know, in fucking panic mode 12 to okay, yeah,
I'm in Cynic.
this is yeah, exactly, yeah, and it's yeah. On the one hand, that also missed maybe the big finale feeling
Yeah,
of,
that-
right?
that's true.
Because
Yeah.
because it's not, "Wow, I'm in Cynic," because yeah, that moment I guess never came because
Yeah.
it went so smooth
Yeah.
that it was like, yeah, I'm in Cynic now.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, why not? Right? Not an arrogant way, but more of like a natural. Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
And
it's really weird.
What
Yeah.
I also find fascinating when thinking about these things and getting more of an awareness of these things in life is that now you will know that that is how it's going to be in life. So also we, of course, for example, we were just talking about our motives for the band and blah, blah, blah. It's music driven mostly. But we do also, I don't know if we talked about this previously on the podcast, but we do have some commercial plans for the first time, really. You know, before with Exvius, it was always just having fun band and selling CDs is, you know, just for the heck of it, but was not really part of anything. And with this Second Our Oceans thing, it is our plan to dominate. No, to
Hark geld.
yes.
what's the English word for harken?
I don't know.
Rake.
Oh, yeah, to rake in the money.
Rake.
You can't even say that.
Yes, rake
No,
in the
but it is the plan to grow as a band and to you know, to simply so that we can do what we do in a little bit of a bigger setting and make it our full-time jobs and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, coming back to the point, once there will never be a point that we reach when we are like, oh yes, we attained that goal
No.
that we are now
Yeah.
talking about, which
Yeah.
we will just keep growing or not. We will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God knows what will happen.
exactly. I
Yeah.
think
But yeah, but that's also a thing. Like before we even released the album, we were talking among the three of us. Okay, what do we want to do for the next album? Where would you want to go? What do you want to do instrumentally, or what do you know like? So it's never. There's no end station. It's
Yes.
always like
Exactly.
a thing in motion. And
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
released an album now, but what do we want to do now, or what's? You know?
yeah, that's at least for the music side that always like keeps going and will keep going. I'm very happy that we do that, like because it felt also like well, it was not like a painless birth, you know, giving birth to this album. Not painful, maybe like the three of us, but like, you know, some struggles. It took a while. We had, of course, like every cycle, you have like some mishaps, delays, you know, things going all right technically, or you have to redo stuff, or you know, scrap stuff. Just shit taking way longer than you anticipate. So I'm very happy that our collaborative thoughts immediately went to, yeah, what new sounds would we like to try? What would we not like, you know? What
Instead of we're never gonna do that again.
exactly. Basically, make a new baby straight away.
yeah,
The baby, yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so-
it's like it's. I think just as much as it's not an easy album to listen to or to immediately grasp, it would be, I think, kind of weird if it was super easy to make. Right? I mean, it
Yeah, it's-
should cost a little blood
Yeah, I
and
think
sweat.
for us it does, especially with our oceans or well, everything we've done with our oceans. Once again, where we have to, well, put in feeling in our music and what we do,
Yeah.
and that is certainly not 100% happy joy time all the time. Else we would make super happy pop songs, right? So
Yeah.
the fact that we draw inspiration from life and from other stuff, we've
Yeah.
touched on that a little bit, and we weave that into your music. I mean, I think you can speak for that as well, right? If you look at the lyrics on itself, it also all this time.
I don't hear you singing "I'm so happy."
Yeah, no, not quite literally. But there are like some moments that I do reflect to some positivity like that. But yeah, I am surprised that in some reviews that didn't happen on the first album, but on the second album they highlight some of my lines. And one
True.
line that I was like the most. You have those lines that, for me at least, before I set out to write the lyrics for this album, I really wanted to put aside all of my shame, just pour out whatever needs to be said. And the one line that I was probably most like kind of
Proud?
no, like scared of,
okay.
of putting out into the world, that you're really like nervous to yourself. Like, am I really gonna say this to the world? To express this. And that
What line was it?
Highlighted like 3 reviews or something,
Is
which
that
is funny.
the sweat on your lips thing, or
Yeah, which is wet on, but that was in one review they thought I said sweat instead of wet. But,
Can you tell us?
but yeah, almost the same.
so much for me listening to your lyrics.
That's okay.
Can you tell why you were having that thought, like especially with that sentence? Because if it were up to you totally and nobody would ever hear it, you probably wouldn't have not as much of a problem, right, with it. Like you've had internal struggles, why you were like kind of, well, not scared, but hesitant, maybe.
Yeah, well, that goes back to, I know, a little bit of a story was like a little bit of a stoner story.
I gotta do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
update the camera. Yeah, so back in the time when I was still smoking some weed. It's a good start of a story. There was this one night that I got kind of, and it was shortly after we finished the Liminal album. And I got fucking stoned out of my mind, and I was alone at home. And I was listening to some of my favorite singer-songwriter material, and I remember, for example, I know you also love her, Imogen Heap, that album we both love. And the last...
Speak for yourself.
yeah, on that album, the last song, which I'm bad at titles.
Yeah, I know what you mean with song.
No, anyways, and those lyrics always hit me hard, and that moment specifically. And then I just had this, as we all do when we're stoned, we get these moments of when we think we're discovering some brilliant thought, which the next day is just like, yeah. But that was the one time when I did have an idea that stuck. And it was simply, the thought was something like, well, all of the artists that I really look up to, they are not scared to be vulnerable. And so the thought was like, if I'm ever going to get better at what I do, I have to stop being afraid of being vulnerable. And I think that, like, yeah, did I ever tell you that or not?
No, but maybe they are afraid.
Maybe
I don't
they are.
think, I don't think
They-
it's about being afraid or not. I think it's about doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's actually better put. Yeah. And yeah, well, that thought just stayed with me for the debut of Our Oceans, and then even more so on because that was some kind of a little bit of a validation in terms of when after releasing the debut that it's okay. Apparently, whatever I say, like people are not going to crucify me or make fun of me. But even if they would make fun of me, I would say like,
Yeah, is
you
it
know, I
that
don't
bad
really
in the
care.
end?
Yeah. So then for the second album, I took it up a notch, and there are some lines that
Too.
are, like maybe a little bit too much even now for me. Maybe on the next album, I'll dial it back a little bit in that regard. But
Which will be fine, right?
yeah, it's
Because-
whatever it needs to be for that particular album, and this felt like something that needed to happen for this one.
Yeah,
It's still one of the
But,
best. Go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't read any of your. Well, I've read all your lyrics, but what I was going to say, I haven't read anything that I thought was that I would feel as too much or over the top, or because otherwise I would have said like, I'm not sure about this line. But
Yeah.
and I think I appreciate more like your authenticity or your openness or honesty in your lyrics than than withdrawing stuff that you
Yeah.
think is maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, if you just put it out there, then yeah, it's at least you hear that it's honest. I think.
Yeah, well, you describe, well, I'm happy, of course, you describe it that way, but that's, of course, my hope. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what you see all really great lyricists pull off really well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And no one listens to lyrics anyway.
Exactly.
Wow, perfect. I think that's a perfect segue actually into maybe some questions. We're
Yeah.
talking along and getting along quite well actually, but maybe it's
Let's do it.
yes,
How long have we been going?
almost for an hour basically,
Yeah.
An hour, indeed.
which has been cool.
So this time, Robin will be the question host.
Yes.
He has pre-selected some specific questions based on absolutely no criteria.
Yeah, exactly that.
Before we start, I wanted just briefly to mention that we did say that we were going to do this one live,
Yeah.
that we would get questions live. But, as I said, we had some delays, and so we decided to have this one pre-recorded still. We're
Yes.
also testing some new cameras. Hopefully, we will look a little bit better than we usually do.
That's
And,
Timon looking.
Anyway, so we still have the old questions, or the old list of a lot of questions we got, and then hopefully next time or the time after that we can do it in real time.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll be sure to announce it way ahead
Yeah.
and make sure you all get the chance, hopefully, to join us.
And now that we're talking about this, anyways, if anyone is watching, and let me ask you this: like,
Is that
what-
a long question? Because I gotta pee
No.
so bad.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you can
So
go
I'll be
quick.
Go ahead and pee.
Yeah. All right. While Robin is using my facilities, I'm wondering what day and what time is good for most of you to listen to this stuff.
Yeah, good one.
Because we are recording this right now at Friday evening, and that's our evening in Europe,
Yeah.
Central European time.
Yes.
But we can maybe also make it Saturdays.
Yes, depending on how many of you could or would be able to join or would be in for joining, we could change our schedule to fit that actually. That's one big advantage, especially with the US, of having like 7 to 9 hours of difference. So either it would be late for us or pretty early, but that's all doable.
Yeah, and I feel, especially on this day, our evening now is like still during the day over there. So then most people are maybe working still and all that good stuff. But on the other hand, like maybe most people are not going to watch it live anyways. Maybe most people are going to listen later in their own time.
Yep.
I don't know. So let us know.
Yes, please let us know. And as was the previous time, if you have any questions, always feel free just to ask us any question in a comment. Even on older videos, we read them and we collect them. So it's all good. It's all talking points, material stuff. It's really good. I think Robin is doing a big poo-poo. Or he has trouble finding the toilet paper or the light
Or
button.
you fell in again. It's like fucking,
Again. Just like this morning.
to use like that. How do you call that thing on his bald head?
Sorry.
What do you call those things in English?
It's good. Robin,
Hey.
how do you call gootsteenontstopper?
Yeah. Well,
All right. It's a thing. It's a stick with a red rubber thing. You
Toilet
put it in the toilet.
unclogger.
An unclogger. Whatever. No.
that sounds very made up, but
Well, please inform us in the comments about the official word for shit declogger.
Do I want to hear how you guys ended up
No,
here or
no, no. All right. Please take us away.
All right. The first one is to ease in it a little bit from Douglas Connery. What bands or type of music have you guys been influenced by?
all right. It's a big one, and
Yeah.
we already talked a little bit about bands, prog bands, and blah blah blah. So it's a little bit related, right?
Yes, yeah, because we were talking a little bit about rock bands, but when touching on Imogen Heap, for instance, if
that's a
I
good
think
one.
back of it, I think where lots of albums we do have where subconscious were like in love of the music or the production style or songwriter or whatever, and we have distilled ways by listening a lot through them, like, oh, she does this, or this is always cool, or this works really well. Save it in the back of our minds and then use it whenever we compose.
For sure. Yeah,
yeah.
and I think also for me, I've been a long time Björk fan, which is kind of related a little bit because I don't know if you know, but the project Imogen did before she went solo, Frou Frou, was with the same producer as did a lot of Björk stuff. So that's the connection with like how I found her. But yeah, and it's also good specifically when talking about Our Oceans because when I set out to make that first album, that was for me like a chance to finally do something with those influences a little bit more in a concrete form because surely all that stuff influences you as well if you make totally different type of music.
Yes.
But then when you get to really incorporate it, that's kind of cool and all the nice singer-songwritery stuff like Radiohead. I mean, everyone loves Radiohead, but there's a reason for it. There's just a really good band.
Yeah.
Not all of their stuff, maybe, but the songs that are good are just brilliant.
Yeah.
To me.
What's your favorite
What?
song?
I'm really bad at titles still.
Is it the piano song?
The Pyramid song?
Yeah.
No, that's definitely lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's up there. I don't know that I have a favorite song. Just a list of songs I really love.
I love that. Is it called Ending Theme or something? Or
That's
the
big
theme of a
observation,
theme of a.
Was it on the album?
right,
Okay,
right,
computer.
yeah, yeah. No, that one's
No?
beautiful
That might
as
be
well.
it,
It's on
yeah.
Kid A, right?
What's that?
On Kid A.
Yeah, one of those.
Ah.
One of those.
Yeah,
two,
How to Disappear completely. No.
No. It's
Oh.
exit for a. And
Oh,
exit
right,
for a
that also rings a
movie,
bell.
something
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever the title is, but I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's a fun question actually because I think we can mention dozens and dozens of inspirations, right?
Pat
That-
Metheny,
Oh yeah.
the Jaco Pastorius album.
Oh wow.
Or do you guys know the singer-songwriter Marieke Heckman or Marie? Yeah, super cool. She's got an album. We Sleep at Last, I think.
Okay. Is that cool?
Really, yeah. Super cool.
Put it in
songs.
our Spotify list thing.
yeah
to check out.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nick Drake.
Yeah, I love him.
Laden.
Exactly.
With a super long N, closed N.
Always ends on
5
N.
Leaves Left is superb album.
I think that's on the list, right? Because I think I've heard it.
Should
but
be.
I don't
That's
think I liked it
that's
that much.
yeah.
That's,
One of
by the way, a fun topic to watch. There's this recent kind of homemade by someone YouTube documentary about that guy, and I saw it quite recently, and it was interesting in terms of I didn't know anything about him, just the music.
still don't.
Okay, well then it's cool to see. It's not super long, but it's just that he was quite a odd, an interesting person.
Cool.
Is he
his
dead?
mus-
Or
Yeah, a long time ago.
For a
oh yeah.
while.
Oh, I have no idea who it is.
Yeah, it's and also not very successful at all.
Really?
Yeah, I was really struggling with that and blah blah blah. But I'll
Damn.
look it up.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything to add or
Maybe we can make
it's
it
so-
concise and say like what
so
inspired, like a couple of artists that inspired you for the last album, if at all.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
not
making it harder.
Really,
Yeah.
That's not easier. I think. I
No,
mean,
to me it feels so.
Yeah, I think like you must said, you listen to, or I think we listen to so much music, and we take, or you somehow incorporate that in your musical being.
yeah.
So
But you didn't have like, for instance, at least for me, and we also discussed this in the first stage of like writing the core of the songs. We had some besides our build-up kind of, how do you want to call it, vocabulary of influence, we had some newer influences that we wanted to weave in. Didn't you have something like that?
Yeah, not.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah, I
since
don't
we-
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think bands or songs, but like a idea or
Sounds,
like
or-
like an idea of, all right, maybe some bass sounds like that or some,
Yeah.
you know,
In the vein of
stuff
that.
like- yeah, but
Yeah.
not specifically. I want to
Yeah.
make a bass line like that Pain of Salvation song or something.
No, and I
Like,
think we hit
yeah.
upon that recently, right? Where we were talking about thinking along those terms, more so the older you get, anyways, and less in like, oh, let's make a
Yeah.
pain observation like thingy.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I can answer that like a little bit concisely by saying like James Blake was like kind of an influence
Yeah.
for this album in terms of just his songwriting, the use of synthesizers that we did. Whoever says that word full out, you say synths, right?
No, we'll keep saying synthesizers.
What of the
Yes.
synthesizers?
Electronic synthesizer machines.
What does it do? Like it sizes synths, or what?
Okay, but please continue. Or James Blake was the most
yeah.
prominent. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that was the end of my.
So that's what Timo is
Yeah.
influenced by.
Yes. I mean, it's. I think that name came drifting along, whatever. We've mentioned that quite some times. But as stated earlier, we've just mentioned a lot of bands where we draw a certain element from, or a certain songwriting inspiration. Songwriting inspiration. Wow. Keep on. Like bands like Muse, right, or Carnival as being mentioned, and then Imogen
Yeah.
Heap, and then like our friend with Cloak and Wallflower, Jordan Rakai.
Jordan Rakai.
And
yeah,
it goes
he's also-
all
yeah.
ranges,
Yeah.
just because we like certain elements of it. And I think that's also ties in what you said earlier. The older you grow, the more music you make, the less you go, let's write a Pantera riff or this or that, because
Yeah.
you can feel or hear or distill the underlying effect, of the particular song, of riff. Why does this work? Well, this simple beat against this kind of type of thing, right? Or why does this structure work? Or why does this harmony go? Like, at least for me, that goes like, you can distill it
sure.
so you can implement a idea from a soft band into a really loud band, or vice versa, right? And that's somewhere
Yeah.
the fun
Yeah.
of it as well,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Next
Next
question.
one.
Yeah. All right. Let me put on my reading glasses. From Scott Poppleton. Any plans to tour the USA if and when things get back to normal? Or possibly a live cast show as an alternative?
Yeah, well, we actually wanted to talk about that a little bit, anyways. With the plans that we mentioned earlier, come, of course, plans to play live. It's still been a little bit of in the works prior even to this whole COVID thing happening, because I was fooling around with my vocals, learning how to do that live, and I'm sure that I'm still doing that, but things have been improving quite considerably, which is good. Anyways, we do have, good news that's meaningless at the moment for anyone, but we we signed up with a really good agency, like a booking agency, which for the people who are unaware is the organization or person who's responsible for getting you on good tours, basically, or arranging concerts.
Yep.
And that's, of course, if you're like a smaller band and you want to have, for example, you want to land support slots on bigger band tours, then that is the way to go, through a good agent.
Yeah.
So that's exciting to have. And without mentioning any names, we already got like this first not official offer, but a little bit of a teaser of what might come. And if that tour happens, it'll be quite a while. But if it happens, we're gonna be. Let's make a deal.
Let's make it more vague.
No, what I was gonna say is, when that happens, we're gonna be proud. Fuck it.
Oh yeah.
Because then
Oh,
it,
yes.
it is seriously a band that's on our list of bands
yes.
to tour with, and it has been for a long time.
We've all been
So-
listening to that
and we've
band
all
for
been
a long
listening to
time,
it a lot.
actually.
So now everyone's and we haven't even mentioned, I think, the band on here, which is interesting.
Or have we? You don't know.
Yeah. So
This is getting better and better.
yeah. So, anyways, the point being is that there are plans in the works. Mostly, they'll be European at first for sure, because it's really difficult financially to tour in the US for especially smaller Euro bands.
Yep.
The situation is so bad that I don't see any way we could even make that happen.
No.
But that is not to say that if we can, we are definitely going to.
Oh yeah, we would love
if
to.
if the
And-
option is there.
Yeah,
of
it's, and
course.
still like one of the most realistic options would be if one of the festivals would like invite us and pay like for visas and stuff and flights. Those are the by far the most expensive expenses to have when going to the US because once there it's far easier to book a bunch of shows and set up a little tour. So although it is possible, it is highly unlikely that we'll go to the US soon, which sucks because we would love to play there. And my
But
last
it's not-
time in
it's
the
only
US was
getting more,
2010. When was your last time in the US?
Yeah, 2010.
2010.
2010 as
When
well?
It's
that's when we
it's
flew
just
back.
been 10 years since we've
Dude.
left the Cynic camp.
That's a long time ago, man. I'd like to go
Yeah.
back. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
me too. I mean, there are things that I'm not the greatest fan of in the US, but there are also some parts that I genuinely miss about,
Oh yeah, totally likewise.
Yeah.
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 It's, cool. And I think by now, by the length, we do have some plans to keep us busy and keep us as a band going without having to play live. So while that is going on in the background, we do have some plans. But looking at the time, I think that will be best left to the next podcast to be able to actually elaborate and talk a little bit more in detail about what we're planning to do actually in the meantime.
Yeah.
sounds good.
Cool.
Cool.
Do we want to have one closing question?
Sure.
Or do you have a fun one
let
for
me,
us?
let me
Make
see,
one up
'cause
on the spot.
I had one.
Do you like balloons, Robin? Blue balloons? Folded into a tiny dog.
Do you want a funny one or?
Yeah.
You decide.
Yeah, you decide it's
You are
gonna
the
be a funny
question
one.
master, Robin.
Robin,
come on.
you decide that's gonna be a funny one.
Okay, then not that one.
It better be funny, man, because
Fuck the pressure. The pressure.
It's up to you, but it's better be funny, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's not really a funny question, but maybe a short one from
Why you know me?
Tiago Flopes.
Okay.
Why the name Our Oceans? What's the meaning behind it?
Timon.
the meaning is we're all one, made of the same water.
Be
No.
like water.
It was. It actually came from Nora, the girl who was supposed to sing on the first album, and she. I don't know if she still has them, but she always had these very vivid dreams that she could recall very easily when she would wake up.
Nice.
And one day we were just talking in the morning, I think, on Facebook, whatever, and she told me about this dream that she was, as I recall it, she was standing on this grand, like, shoreline, beach, whatever, looking out over the ocean, and she heard this voice coming from above, and it said this incredibly pretentious sentence that I don't remember, but it started with our oceans, and it was something like, didn't make any sense even, it was like, our oceans are imminently powerful, and blah, 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 blah. And then I said, like, hey, our oceans, that's kind of cool for the project. and yeah, that's it. But yeah, I think about it still sometimes because before, well, you weren't part of our Oceans back then, but you remember that before we released the album, I was trying to change the band name at a certain point, and oh man, especially me,
Really?
I broke my brain about like different titles. And
Yeah, I remember you really wanted to change the band name.
yeah,
But
and in hindsight, I am sad that we didn't pull through with that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not like I dislike our Oceans, but it's not distinctive enough. So many Oceans bands, you know. Yeah, it is what it is now, and it's just I don't think about it. It's just when we say our Oceans is what we do, and it's good. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's and then the how do you call that? The forerunner, the one that was nominated mostly was Starless.
Starless.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is like synonym for black, or just without light, or that kind of thing. And I still,
Lame.
yeah, I remember you. I think was mostly opposed to it, right?
that might be true. 'Cause I really don't like it.
Yeah, I love it. I still love
Starless?
it. Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like a stupid name. Whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm I can as an outsider, previous outsider. I really like the name. I'm very happy. To me, it's some of those things that once you're in there, or you have to come up with the name. All those like filters and little wheels going to turn. Like, is it distinctive enough? Blah 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 blah. Once you've done it and I read it, it's a catchy name. Our Oceans. It it sounds good. It's nice.
Yeah.
When my imagination comes up with nice images to tie it in, perfect. Like to me, a band name shouldn't be that much more. But if you do it yourself, you'll make it right.
Yeah,
It's bigger.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Band names suck to find.
exactly.
It.
I also
Yeah.
remember this. I think you'll remember as well. At a certain point, I was like, "What the fuck am I doing? Like thinking of band names? Am I fucking 16? It feels like coming up with your tag or something." It's like,
Demon,
And-
Pew Pew 1992.
yeah. It feels like a children's thing. Silly.
In
But,
a way, yes.
But I do agree that if I think about our Oceans, just more as an outsider's perspective, if I try to do that, I also like that it can be interpreted like in many different ways. And
Yep.
there's this nice little Oceans being some kind of collective meaning to it, and has to do a lot with life, and it's
Yeah.
everywhere, and it connects us. And the word hour is usually not something you see in connection with Oceans very much.
Yeah.
Mentioned together, and I don't know. It's just you can interpret it in many different ways, and
Yeah.
I do like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. So you still like the term. I think we
Yeah, the only thing is just like I said, that's basically it. That there's a lot of other bands with Ocean.
Yeah.
Most specifically,
Ocean Size.
specifically the Ocean, and of course also Ocean Size. Yeah,
Yeah.
And
and
Oceans.
as Oceans. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
Well, on the one hand, I don't care at all about it, but I can imagine that it's a little bit, what's the word, confusing for people who don't know us well, but just hear the band come by.
Yeah.
And
Oh, what
Yeah, it's not a really descriptive name, I think.
No.
It doesn't really
That's for sure.
imply what kind of music it is. But, yeah.
well,
I don't-
in
I
a way, I
don't-
think so because I think Muse, Metallica in a bit. But
Slayer, Cannibal Corpse.
yes, but for all those names, I can of course put on 3 Doors Down. I mean,
of course. Yeah,
put on a whole
yeah.
prog loss. So,
Yeah.
in a way, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
But I think
Mostly.
it's always, I think, about the association that comes once you have the name and you start building music, and and people think, our Oceans is it gets a different meaning. I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you hear Pantera.
Think-
That's
think about
that's
that.
yeah it's a super lame name.
Oh, man.
It was
Yeah.
built on it was named
True.
after a car, and it
Really?
yeah. So I think it's a Pontiac whatever or something. Like, and
Pontiac
it's a word for cat in whatever Latin or Spanish or whatever.
Yeah,
it
it's-
sounds like
it's
some
like
kind of
Steel
super
Panther.
lame.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
with Panther, it
It's,
sounds like hookery or something. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So
But
it's
it's
the
really
name
bad.
itself sucks, but
It's okay, yeah.
it's my camera timer.
Whatever.
But now you don't hear the band name as the band name is, but you have the association of right, that's that band
yeah,
that
and
you know.
I would
Exactly
I would
that.
say that Pantera is still a sucky name though, but I agree with.
Yeah.
But you
yeah, you don't. think that
But you have it
it's
with
about the
all
association
names, right?
and-
Yeah.
yeah, even with words like Queen, which is interesting. It's
Right.
such a and it's not like that name is never used in other. You
No.
know, it's
For sure, that's true.
It's a
Yeah.
well-used word.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
thinking of music,
yeah. But also,
Yeah,
like,
right?
yeah, it's funny how that works. It's basically with every, like, you know, Limp Bizkit or like every name that's, you know, sounds good, I guess, until you really start like dissecting it or like what does it mean. And it's
Yeah.
better not to do that because then you find out for a lot of bands, it's
Yeah.
also just
Also, although I discovered this new band today called Sleep Token, and I thought that was a cool band name.
Sleep Token.
They have check them out, anyways. Interesting band.
Put them in
And,
the list.
They're doing well, also I think, like commercially
Sleep
speaking.
Token. Nice.
And they have. It's kind of, if I have to describe them, it's Our Oceans meets Meshuggah, and the aesthetics are kind of like they try a little bit of the ghost thing, like kind of, and you know, not you can't see who they are, but they're
Like
much
the-
smaller, so they don't have that type of production, of course. But it feels like that is kind of what they're trying to pull off, and from what I've heard, like some things they're doing really, really well.
But if you're impressed, then I should look it up.
Hmm.
That's for sure.
Nice.
That's nice. Nice to have these two guys as musical friends as well, because if they suggest something, it will have gone through a lot of filters and shit already. So that's
Yeah,
always nice.
Although having said that, it is also like you described earlier, where it gets easier with time to appreciate certain things about a band.
True.
And I
Yeah.
would say that I'm not going to be the biggest fan of this band to keep my and your enthusiasm down. A bit.
Yeah, but you still
there-
can appreciate
Yeah, there
things
are-
for what they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are elements about this which, and more of the grander vision, I think they seem to have.
Cool.
That I think are really unique and well done.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sleep Token.
Yeah.
Sleep Token.
Nice.
We'll check you out. Hopefully, you guys will check us out next time.
Wow.
This is
bridge.
a nice bridge, a nice segue into to the ending.
Insert
yes.
slow clap here.
Okay. We hope you had a good time watching us, listening to us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Bye.